The dream of flying cars has haunted the imagination of humankind for more than a century. From the first time people saw automobiles rolling on roads, and airplanes slicing through the skies, the natural question arose. What if we could combine them? A car that doesn't just drive but soars above traffic, effortlessly gliding through the air. For decades, it seemed like nothing more than science fiction. Futuristic cartoons promised sky highways, with cars whizzing around in three-dimensional lanes, stacked far above skyscrapers. Yet the reality of engineering, safety, and economics always held us back. But now, at the dawn of a new era, that once distant vision is starting to materialize. Flying car highways, organized aerial traffic networks weaving through megacities, are no longer the stuff of dreams, but serious projects backed by billions of dollars in investment, cutting-edge technologies, and unprecedented collaboration between aviation and automotive industries. Imagine waking up in the heart of a megacity, 30 million people crowded into a futuristic metropolis of glass, steel, and neon. The roads below are hopelessly jammed. Tens of thousands of cars sit idle in traffic, horns blaring, pollution choking the streets. But you step out onto a rooftop platform. A sleek vehicle with wings folded against its sides descends quietly, its rotors humming. You step inside, and the car lifts off vertically, merging seamlessly into a stream of airborne vehicles above. Invisible digital highways guide every movement. Vehicles cruise in orderly patterns at multiple altitudes, never colliding, never slowing, all orchestrated by an AI traffic system that thinks faster than any human could. In 15 minutes, you arrive at the other end of the city, what would have been a 90-minute commute on the ground. This is the vision of flying car highways, and it is closer than you think. The first challenge of making flying car highways a reality is the vehicle itself. Flying cars, sometimes called eVTOLs, electric vertical takeoff and landing craft, are hybrid machines that combine drone technology with aerodynamics borrowed from helicopters and fixed-wing planes. Unlike a regular airplane that requires a runway, or a helicopter that gulps fuel and demands skilled piloting, eVTOLs aim to be quiet, clean, and user-friendly. Many designs feature multiple small rotors powered by batteries, allowing for stable hovering and smooth vertical climbs. Others use tilt rotor designs, where propellers rotate from vertical to horizontal to transition smoothly into forward flight. The progress in battery technology, lightweight materials like carbon composites, and AI-based autopilot systems has made these vehicles possible in ways they simply weren't 2 decades ago. But the car itself is only the beginning. To have highways in the sky, you need something much larger, a coordinated network of airspace management that scales far beyond today's aviation systems. Consider how complicated traffic management already is on the ground. Millions of cars flow through intersections, ramps, bridges, tunnels, and freeways. But drivers have the benefit of road markings, signs, signals, and human instincts honed over generations. In the air, none of that exists. Airplanes today use controlled air corridors, with flight plans filed in advance, monitored by air traffic controllers with radar. That works when you have thousands of planes in the air at once worldwide. But what happens when a single megacity has hundreds of thousands of flying cars taking off and landing every hour? Humans cannot manage that load. Which is why flying car highways must be automated. Think of it like the internet. Every packet of data knows where it's going, and a vast digital infrastructure routes those packets through the fastest path, avoiding collisions, congestion, or bottlenecks. Flying car highways would operate the same way, each vehicle constantly communicating with a central AI and with each other, navigating invisible three-dimensional lanes in the sky, shifting altitude layers for different speed categories, and docking at skyports strategically scattered across rooftops, skyscrapers, and transit hubs. The physical infrastructure of flying car highways is just as important as the vehicles and digital systems. You cannot simply launch thousands of cars into the sky without places for them to land, recharge, and integrate with the rest of the city. Enter the concept of vertiports. A vertiport is like a futuristic version of a gas station crossed with an airport terminal. It's a hub where vehicles can land vertically, exchange passengers, recharge their batteries, and take off again within minutes. For megacities, planners envision hundreds of vertiports integrated into existing structures, shopping malls, office towers, residential complexes, even parking decks converted into aerial hubs. But that raises urban planning challenges. Who decides where they go? How do you integrate noise management, air safety zones, and emergency procedures into crowded cityscapes? And perhaps most importantly, who pays for them? Governments may not be able to fund massive networks of vertiports, leaving private investors, airlines, and tech companies to create partnerships. A new industry is being born, not unlike the birth of the automobile highway system in the early 20th century. Then comes the issue of safety. Imagine thousands of vehicles flying above a city. What happens when one malfunctions? What if power fails mid-flight? To address this, flying car highways would need multiple layers of redundancy. Vehicles would be designed with backup rotors, emergency parachute systems, and fail-safe algorithms. If one system goes down, another kicks in. Furthermore, every vehicle would be tracked in real time, with AI detecting anomalies and redirecting traffic instantly to prevent collisions. Much like how modern commercial aviation is statistically the safest form of travel, flying car highways would aim to achieve near-perfect safety records. But public trust is another matter. People may feel comfortable driving on roads, but would they trust their lives to a small electric vehicle soaring 1,000 feet above a megacity? Overcoming psychological barriers may be as challenging as the engineering itself. The economics of flying car highways also need careful consideration. At first, these services will likely be expensive, limited to the wealthy or to urgent business travel, much like helicopters today. A trip across a city might cost hundreds of dollars. But over time, as production scales up, battery costs fall, and competition increases, prices could plummet. Think of how air travel went from luxury liners in the 1930s to budget airlines accessible to almost anyone today. If the same happens for flying cars, we could see middle-class commuters ditching ground traffic for aerial highways within 2 or 3 decades. The bigger question is whether governments will support the rapid expansion of these networks, or whether regulation will slow progress, as it often does with disruptive technologies. Cities will need to decide: do they embrace aerial highways as a solution to congestion, or do they restrict them to protect traditional transportation models? Environmental impacts add another dimension. While flying cars promise zero-emission flights thanks to batteries and electrification, their sheer energy demand could be enormous. A single flight across a city may use as much electricity as several households consume in a day. If millions of these flights occur daily, megacities would need to expand their power grids drastically, likely relying on renewable sources, fusion reactors, or orbital solar satellites to keep the skies clean. On the other hand, flying cars could reduce ground congestion, lowering pollution from conventional cars stuck in traffic. Balancing these trade-offs will shape whether flying car highways become a sustainable reality or just another burden on the planet. The cultural and social consequences may be even greater than the technical ones. Aerial highways would reshape how cities are built and how people live. No longer would people need to cluster near subway lines or ground highways. Suburbs could expand vertically, with rooftop skyports becoming the new front doors of neighborhoods. Imagine entire skyscrapers with built-in aerial lanes, cars docking at apartments like futuristic elevators. Commuting times could collapse, allowing people to live far from their workplaces while still connecting in minutes. On the flip side, this could accelerate inequality. If only the wealthy can afford flying cars at first, they'll live above the traffic, while everyone else remains stuck on the ground. Governments may need to create subsidies or public aerial transit services to prevent a two-tiered society of sky-rich and ground-poor. Let's consider the futuristic possibilities. Once aerial highways exist in one megacity, expansion will be inevitable. Networks could connect cities across regions, creating high-speed aerial corridors linking metropolitan clusters. Just as freeways in the 20th century knitted nations together, flying car highways could create transnational skies, with vehicles hopping between cities in under an hour. Beyond that, imagine integration with spaceports. A flying car could take you from your rooftop to a suborbital launch pad in minutes, and from there, you could reach the other side of the planet in less than an hour. Flying car highways could be the missing link in a fully interconnected planetary transportation system. Looking even further, aerial highways might evolve beyond cars entirely. Once AI advances far enough, personal drones could whisk individuals anywhere instantly, eliminating the need for car ownership. Swarms of autonomous aerial taxis might replace personal vehicles, reducing the number of cars in the skies while maximizing efficiency. The skies above cities could become layered ecosystems, with delivery drones on the lowest level, passenger cars on the mid-level, and long-distance cargo planes above them. The result would be a true three-dimensional city, alive with motion not just on the ground but in the air, blending seamlessly into the architecture of urban life. Of course, there will be resistance. Pilots and air traffic controllers may fear automation replacing their jobs. Taxi drivers and ground commuters may resent the shift. Environmentalists will worry about noise pollution, energy consumption, and the disruption of bird flight paths. Governments will wrestle with security issues, how to prevent accidents, hacking, or even deliberate misuse of flying vehicles. Yet, just as every disruptive technology in history faced skepticism before becoming normal, flying car highways will likely face criticism until they prove themselves reliable, safe, and beneficial. At its core, the story of flying car highways is the story of humanity's relentless drive to conquer mobility. Every era has redefined how far and how fast we can move. From walking on foot, to taming horses, to railroads, to cars, to airplanes, each breakthrough has unlocked new possibilities for civilization. Flying car highways could be the next great leap, elevating human mobility into the vertical dimension. It is a dream that fuses engineering, imagination, and ambition. And while the challenges are immense, so is the potential reward: a world where traffic jams are relics of the past, where cities breathe freely, and where the sky itself becomes the road. This, then, is the future being written above our heads. A future where invisible highways crisscross the sky, where megacities stretch not just upward but outward into the clouds, and where the boundary between science fiction and reality dissolves into the hum of electric rotors. It may take decades, or it may come faster than we expect. But one day, perhaps sooner than we dare believe, you will look up and see the future rushing by, just above the rooftops. The age of flying car highways has begun.